Welcome back to the Consumer Book Podcast. I'm Jacob,
And I'm April.
and we are diving right back into Success, Opulence, and Power by Hebru Young.
This time it's all about chapters 3 and 4, right?
Yeah, this is part 2 of our deep dive.
Where things get really interesting for both S.O.A.P and Guillermo.
They do.
If you're just joining us, make sure to catch our previous episode where we unpacked chapters 1 and 2.
Yes,
You're going to want that foundation before we get into today's material.
for sure.
A lot happens in those first 2 chapters.
Absolutely. But for those who are caught up, you'll remember we left Eddie Soap Dominguez in a high-security courtroom in 2041 facing a mountain of charges, cybercrime, fraud, the works. And then flashback to 1995, we meet Guillermo, a restaurant owner in the Dominican Republic, facing a very different kind of risk. A chance to escape to Miami, but illegally.
And the critics are loving it. This book has been called Deliciously Unpredictable by BBC Radio. And Owen Mullen, the best-selling author, he said Hebru Young's characters are effortlessly woven and the plot compelling.
It's high praise all around, and honestly, based on what we've read so far, it's well-deserved.
Agreed. I think this critically acclaimed section is a great setup for what's to come, especially as it's the last review before we dive into chapters 3 and 4.
Okay, so Chapter 3 slams us right back into that tense courtroom. Soap's lawyer, Joe Abrams, is fighting for bail, but the prosecution is throwing everything they've got at him, offshore accounts, real estate holdings. They're basically saying Soap has the means and the motive to vanish.
And this is where we start to see that this future world, even with all its advancements, is still grappling with the same old power dynamics.
Right.
The prosecution is painting Soap as this high-flying criminal, a flight risk in every sense of the word.
Exactly. They're playing on public perception, making it seem like letting Soap out, even on bail, is a risk no one should be willing to take. But then there's Joe Abrams. This isn't just some random lawyer. This is the guy who dines with assembly members, who knows the ins and outs of this system like the back of his hand.
And that's what makes him such a perfect representation of this world Hebru Young has created.
Totally.
It's not just about the law. It's about the influence, the connections, the understanding of who to talk to and how to make things happen.
Yeah.
Joe Abrams is Soap's lifeline, his key to navigating the legal minefield and maybe bending the rules a little along the way.
Right. Right.
Which I think is really interesting.
It makes you wonder if even the people upholding the law operate in these gray areas. What does that say about the system itself? And more importantly, what does it mean for someone like Soap who's trying to work it to his advantage?
It's a fascinating question, and it speaks to that tension between success and the lengths people will go to achieve it, even if it means skirting the lines of morality. But let's not forget about Guillermo.
Oh, right. Chapter 4 takes us back to the Dominican Republic, where weeks have passed since Guillermo first heard about the cargo ship to Miami. Now, before we get into his decision, I love how Hebru Young paints this incredibly vivid picture of El Pez Grande, Guillermo's restaurant. Busy Friday nights, the hum of conversation, the clinking of glasses, you're practically transported there.
And that detail about the backup generator.
Oh, yeah.
Genius. It's subtle, but it speaks volumes about Guillermo's character. He's a planner, a survivor, someone used to navigating instability. He's prepared for anything, even in the midst of this bustling restaurant scene.
Which makes you realize this decision to leave, it's not just about chasing some abstract dream. It's about uprooting his entire life, his livelihood, for a chance at something more.
And it's not a decision he takes lightly. Remember that officer who first mentioned the cargo ship? He comes back practically giddy, having just closed another deal. He's made a couple $100, which for us listening now might not seem like much.
Yeah.
But the book makes it clear in 1995 Dominican pesos, that's a significant chunk of change.
Right.
And it's all the convincing Guillermo needs. He bites, asks about the price to Miami, $3,800, the officer says. Now the stakes are real. And this is where the emotional core of the story really shines through. Guillermo goes home to Anna, his wife, and you can feel the weight of this decision bearing down on them. He's excited, hopeful, but Anna, she's cautious. Visas, the danger of the journey, the what-ifs, these are all valid concerns, fears she voices to him. She becomes that voice of reason, which I think is so important for this story.
Right.
It would be easy for Hebru Young to make this a gung-ho decision, both of them jumping in head first, but that wouldn't feel real, would it?
Not at all.
Yeah.
And it's through Anna's worries that we really understand what's at stake.
Right.
It's not just their lives.
Yeah.
It's their daughter's future. Staying put is a gamble. Leaving is a gamble.
Right.
And Guillermo, to his credit, he doesn't dismiss Anna's fears. He lays it all out there.
Yeah.
He talks about their current life, the struggles, the limited opportunities. He reminds her that this chance, this risky, dangerous chance, might be the only way to build a better future for their family.
And you can almost feel the tension as he's speaking.
You really can.
Like, is he going to convince her? Is she going to come around?
Right.
And then she throws us a curveball.
Yeah.
She agrees, but she mentions they have people in Miami.
Oh, really?
It's this little detail that makes you think, okay, there's more to this story. What role are these people going to play?
It's very intriguing.
Right. It's like Hebru Young planted a seed, this little hint of something bigger at play.
Yeah.
And it makes you question, are these people they can rely on? Or is this connection going to complicate their escape even further?
Yeah, what's going to happen?
So many questions.
So many questions. But what really struck me was their commitment.
Yeah.
They're not just dipping their toes into this new life.
Yeah.
They're diving in head first. They're selling everything, the restaurant, the truck, their home, to make this happen.
Yeah, they're going all in.
Yeah.
And that's what makes this chapter and this whole storyline so captivating. You have S.O.A.P, who's already achieved a level of success most people only dream of, but he's fighting to hold on to it. And then there's Guillermo, who's risking absolutely everything for a shot at that same dream.
It's two different sides of the same coin.
It is.
Both driven by ambition, both facing their own unique challenges. And I have a feeling, based on how chapters 3 and 4 unfolded, that their paths are about to collide in a way neither of them could have anticipated.
I think you might be right.
It's going to be good.
Hebru Young has a way of weaving these seemingly disparate narratives together, building suspense with each chapter. You're left on the edge of your seat wondering how it's all going to play out.
Which is a great place to be, especially when you've got the second volume waiting in the wings.
Absolutely. And for those of you who, like us, are ready to dive into the world of success, opulence, and power, you can find the link to buy the book on Amazon right in our episode description. And once you've had a chance to experience the roller coaster that is this story, be sure to come back here so we can dissect it together.
And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Consumer Book Podcast for more deep dives into the books everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
We'll be back soon with another episode.